So, buddy. It's been a hot week.
Yeah, it's been a long week. We are finally out of tourism zone,
Yeah.
General Luna, surrounded by chickens.
And every other conceivable island activity going on at the minute. But what a beautiful place the north is.
Yeah.
We just got here yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah, came up to visit about 3 or 4 days ago. Met just the most amazing people and decided that this should be where we spend the next week of our existence in the Philippines. So we've been bouncing around San Isidro and Pacifico.
Yep, which is where we're at. In Burgos. And
Burgos, yeah.
yeah, basically just like not quite as north as Alegria, but basically all the things in between.
Been a great week for me, and I think you as well. And we were down in General Luna last week, which I think is pretty much the first place people come to when they think of Siargao Island, because it's an amazing surf area, and Cloud9 surf area is there, which coincidentally, unbeknownst to us, is where the WSL World Surf League competition tournament championship was held this weekend while we were there.
Yeah, which was wild. Seeing everybody roll in for that all of a sudden was pretty crazy. General Luna was relatively quiet when we showed up, and then I think we caught wind that there was a competition happening, and then a day after that it was just like buses of people. I still would say that it remained relatively calm for having a pretty major competition here, but it definitely picked up quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there was a big difference, I think both of us realized, in the first 2 or 3 days that we were there compared to the remainder of the week. I feel like maybe the tone shifted a little more toward the touristy end in the latter part of the week, and that would totally make sense because the whole championship was in town, and I think a lot of people flocked to the area to go see that.
Yeah. Well, and the surf's picking up, and it's been pretty wild. Basically a whole new spread of tourists after that competition showed up, and I think we're into probably the next big wave of surfing until the rainy season.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We've been out a couple of different times to some different places. Surf's great here. I mean, can definitely see why people come. Surfing in Florida pretty much my whole life. Going to Costa Rica off and on. I've experienced some decent surf, but this is really good, consistent surf. There's some coral reefs at certain places and some things to contend with. Had to try out some different boards to really get the proper setup for me out here. Had to learn the waves as you typically need to do. Such an amazing place to surf, and I mean, we actually went on a boat one day.
Yeah. Out to Rock Island, and then we tried Boomy and some other stuff, but we kind of missed the boat on that one, as it were, for that day. Cool, nonetheless. It was sick to go out. Our boat driver was really rad, and kind of just took us kind of everywhere trying to find a spot to surf, and those breaks are just wild. Like, they're wild to be in, and watching you guys kind of mess around at Boomy and try to figure them out from pretty high waves from the boat was wild.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a surfer. I grew up in Michigan, but it was nuts.
Yeah.
That was super nuts.
That was the first time that I had ever actually taken a boat to a surf spot. Right. So that was a first for me, which I really enjoyed. We were in General Luna, just north of Cloud9, and there's a bunch of Filipinos on the boats there, and we essentially got one of them to take us out. It was about a 10-minute boat ride to 3 surf spots that were kind of right next to each other, all within 2 or 3 minutes. And so we kind of picked the best one that wasn't too crowded. It looked surfable. And I think the only problem was we got there a little bit too late in the day, and it got a little bit blown out.
It's spectacular to watch, man. There's some really skilled, gifted people out here surfing.
Yeah, there really was. And speaking of that, a local Filipino actually won the WSL competition over the weekend, so they were really jazzed about that.
I'm trying to remember what we would have done after that. We probably went out for a drink or something with Mark. He actually told us about a short film, The Physics of Nose Riding. It was playing at a resort, I think it was called Vedya. That was super cool. It was a beautiful short film by some Lauren Hill, and it was like basically Newtonian physics and like hanging 10 on longboards.
So cool.
And it was beautiful. It was a romantic short little film, and then we watched a much longer film after that played right after for the surfer Jerry Lopez and Lightning Bolt. Basically, this entire history of him and that era of surfing.
Yeah, he's in his 70s now, and it backtracks all the way to when he was a kid and began his surfing career in California back in the 60s or 70s.
60s, yeah.
Yeah, so pretty wild documentary. But I really enjoyed that. It was essentially a really nice hostel that we went to, and they had a really big courtyard. And so they had put posters up around town prior to the surf comp coming in, which people were starting to come in for that. So they hosted a party the Thursday or Friday night before the competition began. And I would say a good 150
easy,
people.
yeah, in and
mix
out.
of locals and out-of-towners, people staying there, people that weren't. And we kind of got wind of it through our buddy.
And I was so glad we rolled up. They
Yeah.
had guys making burgers for people, and you could get beers, and that was, I think, the settling into like being here, the community aspect of things, at least in the surfing community, which is something I'm not a part of, but it was cool to see it happen like that. And I don't think we could pull something off as easy like that in the States.
No chance.
I don't think something like that would have been so spectacular. Like, everybody was quiet and intentionally watching the movie. It was beautiful. It was sick. I really enjoyed it.
For this to kind of fall in our laps
Yeah, for
and
sure.
have this evening, I remember you walking away from that just feeling really energized.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was cool.
We had a couple of early nights. We've been working a lot
Yeah.
here, and we've been just trying to see as much of the island as possible. The late nights have been few and far between. It really hasn't felt like a vacation to me, although we are probably in one of the most beautiful places I've been in my entire life. If we were to vacation, this would be one of the top spots that I would pick.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, easy, right? Like, it has everything you would want if it was like I'm just trying to have a really, really good time in a short amount of time, or if you really want to hang back and relax. And
Yeah.
it's got kind of everything. It's sick.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to be out of the kind of chaotic, fun all the time area, because it gets exhausting. General Luna's super, super awesome, but they're bringing it down till 3 a.m. and stuff,
Oh, yeah.
all the time. Which is fun when you want to do that, because I had some really, really late nights.
Yeah, it was fun. Harana at night, and
Yeah.
some of the places that the locals would kind of say, "Hey, the party's here tonight," and different things. It was, if you ever been to maybe Costa Rica and some of the places I've been, it felt very Tamarindo, Santa Teresa-ish, where it just kind of got to be a lot of locals, and they just were really up partying until 3 or 4 in the morning. Great, and I love that environment. But I think long term, after that week, I think we were both kind of ready. Okay, that was fun. We enjoyed it. We want to settle more into kind of the local culture, which kind of brought us up here to the north.
During our time in General Luna, we actually did a lot of going around the island, which is actually why we probably don't have too much more to say about General Luna.
Right, that's true.
Because our explorations led us north pretty quick, but it wasn't until recently that we decided to come up here.
Well, the first couple of days we were here, we rented big bikes, 150s, not the scooters, but the bigger bikes. And they were great, but the more we were traveling around the island, there's this window between about 10 and 2 or 3 where it has been really hot here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the first couple of days we rode about 2 hours around the island, and we both got pretty sunburned.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy, but we definitely put stuff on, but still, it's like we couldn't handle much more than that, and it was kind of uncomfortable.
It's tough.
Candidly.
It's tough. Like, you think you're fine until it's over, kind of too, which is the scary part. Like, we pushed pretty far and like kind of bopped around, went up to Dapa and stuff like that, but you're riding and everything. Once we got back, we went, oh my gosh, like we need to like sit down and have like a bottle of water.
Definitely.
We were trying to hydrate, but it just sucks it out of you, man. Like it's you got to take care of yourself for sure.
Absolutely. So we had to return the bikes, and we kind of started looking around for options, and I stumbled on a gentleman, Klein at Coastal Reef Adventures. Super, super nice guy. Would highly recommend him if you're ever in General Luna. And they had these brand new 21, 22 Jimneys.
Yeah.
Which are great little trucks.
They're sick. They're so sick.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with a Geo Tracker or Suzuki Samurai, it's essentially that. I mean, we bombed around that for a week, I think, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that worked out great because we got to cover the entire island. Didn't feel drained at the end of the day. One of us was able to drive, the other one of us was able to shoot. It just worked out really well in my
Well, and then
opinion.
Mark came out. We were able to
Right.
take Jonas up to the wake park, and we were
Right.
able to bop around a lot more. We had a lot of really good perks to having a vehicle for a little bit, and I think we probably got into some stuff and saw some stuff we might not have
Sure.
if we had to like ride all the way up to Burgos for the first time, right?
Absolutely.
That would have been kind of a stretch from General Luna, an hour on a motorcycle for, and not knowing what was there.
Right.
So we were able to come up all the way to Burgos, all the way up to Alegria, and see all of the north, fortunately. And now we have smaller bikes, just scooters. I got a scooter, you got an XRM.
Yes, right.
And that's cool. That's cool. I mean, that's plenty of bike for me. I like to be able to pull my phone out sometimes and shoot a quick clip or whatever, and stop on the side of the road and pull my camera out. So it's nice to have something.
It definitely. And to preface, it's not that we're out here trying to spend as much money as humanly possible. We're really not. It's been a thrifty trip. I wouldn't say we're trying to rough it, but we're certainly not going overboard. But there's been certain decisions that we've had to make along the way that we just didn't predict when we got here. The weather it really wasn't conducive for us bombing around on a bike all day the way that we wanted to. So we kind of had to suck up the cost differential and grab a Jimny, and we were really glad that we did. That was a good decision that we made. Same for some of the rooms that we've stayed in. I think one of the more challenging parts for us being digital is that the Wi-Fi here has been kind of tough.
Yeah. A lot of going to coffee shops and kind of hoping I can get, like driver down, like stuff that you don't ever think about because we just take it like for granted. If I need to update the graphic drivers on my laptop because Premiere Pro, if you edit, you know what I'm talking about, decided to update and now your driver makes your machine crash every time you open it. It's rough. The uploads haven't been a problem, but it's like maintenance and all the small things, I'd say, getting tracks, getting stuff just so I can edit these videos and do what I got to do. Keep in touch with people and things like that.
Definitely. And the two main carriers, well, there's Globe and Smart, and then there's smaller ones, TNT, and a handful
or TM
of other.
or something. Yeah,
TM, right? Yeah. But the two main ones, Globe and Smart, are both here on the islands, and you'll get different receptions for each one. So we actually have both SIM cards now, Globe and Smart, because there's just different parts of the island that we go to where we need to change them out, and that's just part of the challenge of what we do.
Yeah.
So
So the home Wi-Fi setup for a lot of people is going through cell like 4G, 5G. And, where we're at right now, you actually have to go up around this hill because the cell tower is on the other side of a massive, beautiful hill, and it just creates a dead zone because there's not one this way. Up until you get to Burgos. So it's, now that we're starting to know those things, we're finding ways to work around it. But it is exhausting, I'd say.
Yeah. But this brings me to a point where these little challenges also give us some really cool opportunities to seek out the assistance from the locals. And one thing I can say is, man, the locals here are always willing to help us with anything we need. I can't tell you how many times we've been to a shop and somebody's just said, oh, I'll take you there, or, oh, let me introduce you to this guy, or let me make a call, and they spend the next 5 or 10 minutes trying to figure out how to help us. It is the most unbelievable community that probably ever been in my life.
They're super hospitable, and we had some comments in the last video where obviously a lot of you were really excited that we were having a good time and stuff, and some of you said, thank you for showing how it is, but it's not all perfect, and of course it's not.
Right.
But for every, I would say, even minor inconvenience we've had with any human beings, be it tourists or local people, since we've been in the country, for every one minor inconvenience, there's 100 incredible experiences.
Absolutely.
So and we've had some moments. We don't need to get into them because it's not important. But But then everybody else that we talk to, if there's somebody that witnessed something that was kind of messy or whatever, you're instantly greeted with somebody willing to help and say, hey, sorry that happened. Is there anything that we could do for you? Anything like that.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Hospitality is just next level. And it's especially in Siargao, and especially when you came north, when you can really, I would say that General Luna has it, but it's easier to talk to a more condensed population of just locals. Up here, you see that they just care about each other so much. And they're not going to treat you any different than anybody else if you're showing them any kind of hospitality yourself.
That's very
Like if you're, we love the place that we mentioned in the last video that we've been eating, and they've been incredibly hospitable to us. But they also make some of the best food ever. It's all give and take. We help them, they help us, and now we're kind of like family. Like, it's really cool. They treat us really well.
It is. You're right.
And I hope that we can even begin to treat them as well as they're treating us.
We should probably take a second to talk about the food and how good that has been pretty much every step of the way on the trip.
It's pretty interesting, man. I would say just the sheer amount of excellent food is higher than anywhere I've ever been. Like, there's some okay stuff. Like, we're in a country of people who make things. Like, there's going to be some meh food, but like, more often than not, I'm actually blown away with something that I'm consuming. I'm like, how is this even nearly as good as it is?
Totally agree. It's unbelievable. And we talked in the last video, the House of Lechon that we went to, and the value, and that has just been very consistent throughout the whole trip. That certainly wasn't a one-off in the bigger cities. I would say the island food here definitely compares, if not better, in value than what we experienced in the bigger cities. They put a lot of love and dedication into the food, and a lot of it, candidly, is pretty local. So we've really enjoyed eating here.
I can't think of a local-ish food place since I've been here that I didn't think upon leaving, wow, I'll be back. I don't know that there's a place I was like, nah, I don't need to go there again.
Okay.
You get one top food from Siargao. What was the top?
Oh, one top food from Siargao. Well,
and you can't say Big Belly because
I want to say Big Belly Burger. That chicken sandwich at Big Belly Burger right there in the heart of General Luna was delicious. And if we were there for 6 or 7 days, I probably had 4 of them. I mean, they were really good. How about you?
Oh, you're just gonna send it right into wow.
I have to, man.
Carsata wins for sure.
So on the island, okay, not
on the whole island.
Okay, what if you had to say General Luna?
General Luna, man, Big Belly is really good down there. Yeah, right. Well, it's not General Luna, but I really, really like that fried chicken we got with Jonas.
Yeah, that was
I actually
good.
never went back there yet.
No.
And it was super good.
Yeah, that was good. That was where we took the boats out.
Yeah. God, that chicken was
And then
so
you
good.
had already mentioned it, but the bowls right next to the Cloud9 surf area where we used to go get the bowls.
Yeah.
Those were I think it's actually called Cloud9 Bakery or something like that. We'll have to find it.
Yeah, I'll have to.
The bowls were amazing.
You got to go down a giant hill, and it's right before you
Yeah.
get to Cloud9 going north. But that place was slamming.
Yeah, really
Those
good.
bowls were nuts.
Yeah, so I mean, just great food all the way around, and at a good value, candidly. I think we do have to talk about one of the challenges, though, that we've faced while we've been here. Can we talk about getting change for a second?
Yeah, that's rough. So if you're visiting and you're using basically the ATM, they don't have denominations from the ATM, so you only get thousands. And a lot of the shops are small shops, and a lot of the single items are between 50 and 250 pesos. And there's a lot of tourists paying with 1,000, so they just can't do it.
Right. Yeah.
I think the one thing that we haven't done is tried to go into a bank and just ask if we can, because that's the next step. Is there just a place I can be like, I want a bunch of hundreds.
Yeah, that would be a good call. So one of the solutions that we candidly had to find was I saw these signs for Gcash all over the place, and at the time I didn't have a SIM card because the network I have back in the States, Spectrum. As soon as we get here, it piggybacks off of the Globe network, and it worked fine, and it wasn't any more expensive for me. Now, texting and calling would have been, but there are other apps for that. I started looking in how to use the Gcash app, and the problem is that you cannot use it unless you have a Filipino phone number, a 6-3 phone number. So that's what prompted me to go get the smart SIM card, which was 40, 50 pesos, which is less than a US dollar, from one of the Sari-Saris, which is one of the roadside shops. All of them have the SIM cards. You can go pick one up pretty much anywhere. And then you just throw it in your phone. It comes with some free data. And then you can load up, and it doesn't really cost much to load those SIM cards. But then once I was able to do that, I was able to get the Gcash app, connect it to my bank in the States through another app called Remitly. So you got to have Gcash, Remitly, and then that will do the third-party transfer from the States to the card, hit the Gcash app here in the Philippines. And once I have that, now I don't have to use the cash all the time. I can go around, scan it, send the people the money as we use the services. So that has been a bit of a lifesaver as far as the cash goes.
Yeah, and frankly, having Mark around so much has been helpful because then we just kind of been going back and forth with like put all of us on one bill because it's easier. Like it's got to be strenuous because like some people you can tell they're probably both tired of asking people to have smaller bills, but it's like, crap, like, do you have any, like, I can't give you change.
Right.
And that sucks, man. Like, I have a wad of thousands. What can I do?
Because
Like,
that's what you get.
Yeah.
Right. Now, gas stations are a good place to get change.
Yeah.
We found they always tend to have change. I'm sure if we just walked into a bank, that would probably be the best solution. We just haven't really
the
had
nearest one's in Dapa, though, right?
That's true.
We haven't really, we like passed through it a few times, but we haven't really stopped in Dapa.
That's true. And the ATMs were challenging at first because there's 4 or 5 different networks in General Luna, and we tried 3 or 4 of them before we could actually get one that would accept my bank in the States, our bank in the States. So that was
BDO.
BDO was the one that we ended up using. So, and then another challenge is we'll go to the ATM, and I think we may have actually talked about this, but we go to the ATM, and sometimes it's either out of cash or it's just shut down for maintenance for whatever reason. Yeah. So cash and change has been a bit of a minor challenge.
Yeah. It hasn't been major, but it's one of those things.
No. And let's be honest, we're on a pretty remote island here. So to have such small inconveniences in such a remote, beautiful place, that has candidly been through a lot of challenges in the last 10 months since Super Typhoon Odette. It's remarkable, really.
Yeah, truly. I think despite really a lot of places still trying to come back up, it's not a difficult place to live if you're relatively low maintenance. Like if you don't have like a ton of bougie needs, I'm certainly super low maintenance. It's been pretty easy for me, but it's pretty easy living, I'd say.
Definitely.
I'd say you're taken care of pretty well wherever you go, and if you need anything, they usually are happy to help you figure it out. And it's not been bad. It's been pretty easy. Like we're complaining about not getting change in Wi-Fi. So like,
no, we're not complaining. Just being very candid about some of the minor challenges.
That's the worst of it.
Right.
Right. Like that's what I'm saying. Like if that's the worst of it, then like,
it's true.
All right. Who cares?
The spotty Wi-Fi, the change, and I honestly can't think of anything else.
No, man, it's been super easy. Mm-hmm. Even if there's like misunderstandings and stuff, they get shaken out pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
It's like it's almost a non-issue. It's just like we're all. I mean, it's a small island. What are you gonna do?
Totally agree. The sense of community here is overwhelming, and we feel compelled to be a part of that community because it's really a small space that these folks live in, and they live very cohesively, and they truly live off the land, most of them. It's just been a really great community to integrate with, and we've just kind of scratched the surface. So we've done a deeper dive moving away from the more touristy area into the north, which was kind of rocked. If you just look around the beach areas, it was rocked by the typhoon, so they're still rebuilding, but nobody's bummed about it. They're all just very blessed and thankful for what they have, and they kind of express that to us every day.
That's it. So yeah, it's spectacular, man. It's just then on to the next thing.
That's it.
Like the typhoon happened. What are we gonna do now?
That's right.
It's a good mentality, it seems. And I'm sure there's hardship, and I'm sure there's the stuff that we don't see, but they do a hell of a good job at keeping it real with everybody around them.
True.
Otherwise, so
it's true. I've never seen happier kids in my life either.
Oh, it's my favorite part, man.
So
like if I could just like harness the energy of a happy Filipino child, like at any given day, I think I'd probably know what true bliss is.
True. They're very happy children here on the island, that's for sure. So, all right, man. Another fantastic week in the books. We have another fantastic week coming up.
Yeah, I'm excited. So we just got between Pacifico and Burgos. We're in this area for about a week. And I think it's time to kind of really show what like Siargao is, not just, surfy General Luna stuff. So I'm excited to explore a bit more and get out on the bikes and figure it out.
Awesome. Me too.
Cool.
Let's do it.
If there's anything you guys want to see, let us know. Thank you everyone who has been commenting and everything. We've been
Oh, thank
through
you.
the moon with everybody being so nice and so kind. You
So
guys
nice.
are, one of the nicest online communities I've ever experienced. You guys are super awesome.
We truly appreciate it. I really enjoy just laying in the downtime and reading the comments, and
Yeah.
we really appreciate it. Even though we don't get an opportunity to respond to everyone, just please know that we truly appreciate it. We do read everyone. Thank you very much.
We read every comment. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
So,
right on. Well, see you in the next one.
see you guys. Thank you.